Hi and welcome to StockInvest.us podcast for week 21. This will be the last week where I'm out traveling. I'm currently in Norway, as you might know. And right now, as we speak, Norway is under an IT attack from Russia. The Russian hackers are taking down the financial sites in Norway along with the banks and different other sites. And last week, well, it became a very red week as Dow Jones fell 5.24%, Nasdaq 3.96%. Even my tech analyses were way off. Both Apple, Microsoft and Tesla fell more than I thought. The trading tips, Tesla, Expedia and eBay, well, I had to take a small loss on all of them. As usual, I'll try to give you the insights for the week ahead of us. Last week I told you the signals are extremely low, and that's usually where it either goes up or continues brutally down. What about this week? Is it the same kind of scenario? Or are we finally at the bottom? I will do the same thing. I will give a quick analysis of the market, run through some of the biggest tickers, Tesla, Microsoft, Apple, and by the end I will try to give you a few stocks which I think might do good this week. First, as always, we'll have to listen to the disclaimer.
Hello everyone. Welcome to the StockInvest.us weekly stock and crypto podcast. The podcast is hosted by StockInvest.us co-founder and Golden Star Signal inventor, Jim Stromberg, who has been actively trading since 1996. If you are watching us on YouTube, make sure to hit like and notification bell so you will be first to know when we post a new video. This podcast is also available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Anchor, and other audio sources. Ensure you listen to the entire podcast so you don't miss out on some key tips needed for this week's strategy.
Welcome to StockInvest.us podcast. We remind you that trading involves a high risk of losing money, and that you should speak with a financial advisor before buying or selling any securities. You should not base your investment decision upon StockInvest.us. By using the information provided, you agree and are held liable for your own investment decisions.
In last week's podcast, I told you this is the situation where things can go very fast up or very fast down. The sell signals were extremely low, and they actually still are. And sadly, it was the latter part. The markets fell very hard as Dow Jones fell 5.24%. And Nasdaq fell 3.96% and is currently at 11,355 points. It's been one brutal week after the other, and the question is, will it now turn? I'll do my very best. I will give you the analysis as I see them. And maybe I will be right this week. Last week I was for sure wrong when I was taking a gamble that we are at a turning point. And before we go into the details, just give you a wider picture. For those who have been following me very long on this podcast, know that in the start of the pandemic, I put all the money I had into the market. And as market was growing, I started to take out. You heard me say that I was down to 50%, 40%, 35% of my invested capital. And over the many last few months, I've been telling you cash is king, don't sit overnight. Don't even sit over weekend, and don't go into high-risk stocks. I've been following my rules, but right now I am at a situation where I'm slowly increasing my exposure. And this is a very wide, big strategy, understanding that the markets can continue to fall for years. I've seen this happen before, but at the same time, it's way cheaper now than when Nasdaq was at 16,000 points. So if you thought NEO was a good buy when Nasdaq was 16,000 points, well, it's an even better situation right now. So as we speak, I am currently putting more money into the market, but I don't have the expectation to get the return tomorrow. Some I do for very short-term trading, these swing trades, which I know is typical bounce up, but some also has a longer perspective. Will markets turn here where Nasdaq is around 11,000, or will it go down to 8,000? Personally, I think that we should go continue way down, but you really don't know. That is why I invest a little now, and as markets fall, I invest a little bit more, and I start increase my total exposure. And that brings me back to the week ahead of us. What will happen in the week ahead of us? As normal, there is a lot of fundamental things that you should keep an eye on. Foremost are the two things which I've been mentioning to the boring. It's the inflation and it's the Ukraine war. And when it comes to inflation, I've been very correct about inflation. It's raging and it's going to rage a lot more. The reason for this is very simple. There is logistic issues, there are different issues, and of course there is this Ukraine conflict. And the Ukraine conflict is causing one issue after the other, not so much the conflict by itself, but the sanction that we impose. And for those who following the news knows that now we're heading for a energy shortage. Been releasing millions of barrels of oil. Taking the stockpile down means that it will be a hard winter. So even last week I could read a few articles where the experts say the same thing. We might head for an energy crisis. And I think that's where we're heading. Because Russia is holding back on gas. Europe is cutting out gas from Russia and oil from Russia, and all of these things just mean there will not be supply enough. Some industries has to take the hit. We already seen it in the retail industry. Target, Walmart, all of them said that the inflation is eating from the profit. But now we will see even more severe consequences as big industries has to reduce production due to energy shortages. These things will, as I said many times before, show up in quarter results. We are not, we're getting to the end of this quarter season, but still some are coming. But now it might be a situation where we will have less negative impacts from quarter results. But anyway, we should see companies report effects of the sanction. And from a fundamental point of view, I don't expect much from this week. I know that interest rates will go up. We know that inflation will go up. And I said early on that we now are in a situation where we should see the job numbers starting to weak. And I think that's the next thing that will drive the market are bad job numbers one after the other as they will come forward. Keep an eye on the Ukraine conflict and keep, of course, an eye on all the big other numbers. And energy and oil, as I told you, I think oil will just continue upwards. And last week, oil was up $3, currently trading at 112. And it might just go all the way up to 150 or 200 if we get into energy squeeze. What does this mean for your trading? You're listening to a lot of talk here now. So what can you do with all of this? Well, if we do anticipate that oil will go up, you want to be in oil stocks because that will reduce your overall risk. And it might even be a good investment. Gold currently at $18.53, up $48 last week, took a small fall down from 2000 to just above 1800 and is currently going up. My prediction is that gold will hit $2,500, but so far I am way off. It's also taken by the bad markets and liquidations across the globe. The 10-year Treasury yield actually fell last week by 15 points, down to 279. That's somewhat strange. Like markets expect, inflation will not be as high and interest rates will not be so high. I think this is just temporary. I think it will go up. And again, you wonder, what can I do with the Treasury yield? How can this help me? Well, understanding if the Treasury yield go up, markets should go down or sideways, at least in the beginning, before the markets bottom. 10-year Treasury going down right now could actually be a nice small cocktail for the markets having a reaction up, which I said could be last week, or maybe it will be this week where markets react up. And while I remember early on, just before May, I told you sell in May, go away. It's one old classic, and it actually seemed to be true also this year. Does that mean that June will be good? I don't know. So the fundamentals are there. Oil is going up, gold is going up, 10-year Treasury yield is low, and the 10-year Treasury yield you can trade in different instruments if you believe that the interest rates will continue to go up. There is yields and bonds which you can invest in. And that brings me to the very last part where we'll try to conclude about what will the market do this week. And we will look at the technical side of the markets. After that, we will run through a few tech analysis. And by the very end, I will give you my trading tips for the week. And if you look at StockInvest.us and all the signals, 38,000 tickers we analyze, only 60% is giving buy signals now. But it's in fact up 3 points from last week. Last week was 13, also week 19 was 13, and I told you it's extremely low. And this is the first time that it goes up. Actually, first time in more than 8 weeks that our buy signals is starting to increase. And that is usually a good sign. And even looking at Nasdaq was 7% buy signals last week, 8% now. New York Stock Exchange is also up from 10 to 12. London is up from 6 to 8. Tokyo is up from 23 to 26. And even Shenzhen, China is up from 15 to 21% buy signals. So our system using only algorithms, it's no bias. It doesn't care about absolutely anything. It only cares about numbers. Well, these numbers are getting up, believing that there will be more profits to be made in the market. So the buy signals from Stock Invest is currently increasing, and as I said, it's the first time in an extreme long time that the overall buy signals are going up. To conclude, we will look at the chart. And if you're listening to this podcast on Anchor, Spotify, or whatever, this will also be a YouTube version where you can see the charts and a little bit more information as this podcasts go along. And Nasdaq is in a falling trend, and everything indicates that it will continue this sliding down this trend. Currently at the bottom of the trend. Last week I told you that is usually a position where things will bounce up. Had a somewhat okay start in the beginning and then just fell very hard for the last week. Relative strength index is 34, is not oversold but extremely low. No support under today's level mean that it can fall very fast till for sure 11,000, and if 11,000 is broken it can fall even faster down to 10,500. On the upside, there is a lot of resistance, 11,500, 12,000, 12,500, so any upturn should not be too fast. Should probably move in steps. Sell signal, short-term moving average, long-term moving average. In general, there is nothing good, except volume is starting to follow in the market, and we are at the bottom of the trend. Usually that represents a possible opportunity. With no support below and some resistance above, risk reward is not very attractive. So I repeat myself from last week. I think it's a fair chance that the market should go up. At the same time, they can fall very hard. My gamble will be like last week, that markets will go up. Last week I had to take 1% loss on the stocks I traded. It's really nothing, because when things go up, the reward will be very good. You just have to keep a very tight stop loss. I use trailing stop loss, and I will tell you about that in my trading tips, how it works. But I think this week might be a week where we can make some money. Now, we will quickly look through a few of the major stocks before you will get the actual tickers, which I will buy in the beginning of the week. In last week's podcast, I was very off for the targets for the stocks that I analyze. And of course, that was because markets fell. I thought it was a fair chance that it could go up, but markets just continued downwards. And if you look at the Apple chart, we just see a reflection of the Nasdaq chart. Apple is within a falling trend. Everything indicates that it will continue this way for quite some time. It is at the bottom of the trend, and this is usually a buying opportunity. RSI is not oversold, is 33. But it's very low to be Apple. And here I can reveal straight away. I will do a trade in Apple today because I think it's a fair chance that Apple will do good. If it doesn't, it shouldn't be the biggest losses, as I don't see Apple to fall very hard very fast. Could fall, but not hard and fast, so it should be a little bit less risk. Sell signal, short-term moving average, long-term moving average, even have the sell cross from the moving averages, and even a death star from our opposite golden star. The Death Star had a Death Star back in April 20, and it's been following up the signal in a bad way, as Nasdaq been falling and Apple also been falling very hard ever since. Little support below today's level mean that it needs to go up. Otherwise, if it breaks down, it should fall at least $233. On the upside, there are some resistance at 140, 142, 145, and 150, and I think it's a fair chance to get a few percentages at least upwards to 146, $147. Trying to find the end target for the week. Well, I will say that I believe Apple should be able to go up to 147, move somewhat sideways, and by the end of the week, that will be the target for Apple, $147. I'm moving very fast over to Microsoft because we will just see the same thing that we saw in Apple. It's a falling trend, and there is a sell signals from the short-term moving average, long-term moving average, and even the relations between these two averages. Relative strength index is 30. It's getting very close to oversold. Every time it's been this low, it has been a buying opportunity. Very little support below today's level. Resistance above means that any reaction upward should go in steps. Maybe first from 253 to 260, a little bit sideways, then maybe 270. And at some point, maybe 273, it will start to go down again. For the week as such, I think that Microsoft will end somewhere between 260 and 270, and my very best guess is 263 dollars. And then, of course, there is Tesla, and Tesla is a much harder stock to predict because it is much more volatile. Tesla is in a horizontal trend. It is at the very bottom of the trend. Volume was increasing drastically on Friday as the stock fell. I will see this as a sell-off. It tried the same thing a few weeks ago, but didn't manage to really get any traction. And last week, I was trying a short trade in Tesla. I will tell you about that in a few minutes. It didn't work. It was starting okay, but due to the fall the last few days of the week, the trade was sold in a slight minus. Relative strength index is being oversold at 27. There is a sell signals from the short-term moving average, long-term moving average, and the relation between these two averages seen as a red star in the chart. And no support below today's level. And very much resistance above means that any upturn shouldn't be too fast. That very strong dream of getting Tesla back to 1200 doesn't seem reasonable anytime soon. We need a huge change in the market. And to get that huge change, we have to see inflation numbers start to get down. We have to see peace coming, but anyone following the geopolitical news know that Biden, for instance, now is threatening China. So we might end up even more conflicts. And usually when we have inflation, it gets followed by a stagflation, a recession, and in a recession you usually have increased conflicts. So we need something majorly big to change the markets in the right direction. At some point, of course, it will bottom out. Start the upturn this week, next week, or in a year. I cannot tell for sure. I've been in the markets long enough to see these things take huge time before it finally bottoms up. Is this a short one, like the beginning of COVID, or is it the long one? We will try to figure out. In the meantime, we will try to do a few swing trades. And is Tesla a good swing trade? Last time I bought Tesla was 560 all the way up to 1200. We are at levels where I really think Tesla is good for a longer term investment. I've been trying 2 weeks now, short-term trades in Tesla. First was positive, last week was negative. I am getting ready for a little bit longer term trade. Risk reward high, because looking at the technical chart, you are just making a qualified guess that with divergence in volume, with the stock being as low as it is, it should bounce up somewhere. My very best guess for the week is that we will see Tesla fall a little bit more, then bounce upwards and maybe go as high as 730, and 730 will be the target for the week ahead of us. And that was the stocks. We will quickly look at Bitcoin and DogeCoin. But to sum up also this very quickly, we see all the charts, we see they are very negative, we see are at the bottom of a trend, and be prepared, it can get even worse, because we are at a stage where, with very little support below, high risk in the market, high volatility, things can get very, very ugly. So you have to be careful. Don't invest too much. For sure, don't invest more that you can lose. And take profit when profit is there. You can do something called averaging. It's a very nice, I would say, trading strategy. Either you average down or up. If you have a profit, you start to sell a little, or if you are buying right now, stock fall a little bit more, you can buy a little bit more to average down. If you believe that current levels pose a good opportunity, it's just a matter of timing. Timing is the hardest part of all. We have a few technical indicators saying that we are close to bottom, but as we know, things can get even worse. I personally love this kind of market. High volatility is usually a good place to trade your bets. And I've seen enough of these situations to know that when things turn, will it be this week, next week? I don't know. You will have these amazing upturns, and it will be too late to get in, because you will just start waiting for, oh, tomorrow it might fall, give me a new chance. But it will be 2-3 days where some of the stocks are up 5 to 20%, depending on the stocks. Let's quickly roll through Bitcoin and DogeCoin. And crypto has been hammered, and I told you last time, if Bitcoin falls to 30,000, I will buy, and I am buying Bitcoin with the expectation that we should see a rebound up to at least 36, 38,000. This was my statement a long time ago. Get Bitcoin back to 30, I will be in again, and now I'm in again. The crypto is moving sideways around 30,000. If it falls below 28, it can easily fall to 20, so there is no free lunch. This is high risk. Relative strength index is moving a little bit up. We are in the very bottom of the trend. Sell signals from the long-term moving average, but the buy signals from the short-term moving average. We are trading, we are trying to do the range, 30 to 36,000, and I believe by the end of the week we should see Bitcoin somewhere around 33, 34,000 dollars. The question many ask, will we have Bitcoin back to this super level? Well, the problem is that from 36 to 60,000, there is an endless amount of resistance, people waiting to get back their investments. So unless something very special happened, there is no reason why things could go very fast. Now it's a question of doing some swings. I will, as I told you in the section before, slowly increase my capture exposure. So even in Bitcoin, going for that short-term swing between 30 36, meaning that if I'm lucky, if I'm correct, I get that swing. I will sell some, but not all, leave some in the market in the anticipation that it might be a long-term bottom. Nobody knows if 30,000 is the bottom now, and in half a year, we will look back and think, oh, what a beautiful buying opportunity when things are back to 50, 60. Or we could be down at 10,000 thinking, I'm very happy I sold everything. This is trading, and trading is not given. And we will end with DogeCoin before we will go to the trading tips. And looking at DogeCoin, it's a sad view. Felt very hard. I have to admit my personal last trade. I did a trade from 20 to 40, and then I bought again at 20. These money are now, half of them are gone, and I will wait a long time to get some back. But I will do a small trade back in DogeCoin again. Simply because I think there should be some upside, and it's just some small high risk capital that I'm willing to lose. I could either bet on some betting, play some lottery, or play some of these cryptos because it might be a very nice return ahead. For week as such, we will give a target for Dogecoin at 11 cents and hope that we can get back some of the losses. And that finally brings us to the very last section of this podcast, the trading tips, where you will hear what trades were done last week and a few tips for this week. So we are at the very last section, and it's the trading tips. And before we go to the trading tips, just a few things. I'm very sorry about the sound quality, but for the last 3 weeks I've been out traveling. I'm soon back. I'm back to the studio where it will be a little bit better sound quality. I had really a struggle starting today's podcast. No motivation at all. I've been giving you way more than 100 podcasts for almost 2.5 years now, every single Monday, and sometimes it's hard to get motivation. And it's even harder when the markets are falling. And markets been down, 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 down. And even though I love the volatility that we have now, where I am doing my very best, these are the markets where I always do my best trading. It is very hard with all the negativity because it just keep coming, and it takes a toll. I have other investments as well. I'm not only trading stocks. I have some gold and a few other things, and everything is under pressure, and looking at the inflation is eating up everything that's in the bank. So it's a tough market. So I had to make a decision, would this be the very first podcast I would skip? And then I was thinking, well, I know there is quite many of you that follows me every single Monday hoping to make money. And I also know that many of you have lost a lot of money. My aim has always been to try to help you increase your gains and reduce your losses. And I want you to listen very careful in this podcast, because this illustrates so very, very well how you can reduce your losses. Because if you reduce your losses, you have that second chance, because markets will go up, there will be a green day. Last week I told you I wanted to do the same trade which I did in week 19. In week 19 I bought Tesla, eBay, Expedia on, as low as I could on Monday's opening. I told you usually the bottom is around 10, 11. You can follow each single stock because they usually have some pattern, and you can see some typical times of the day where to buy and sell. But let's say an average is around 10 is very good. Half an hour, 45 minutes after opening is usually some good place to buy. I don't remember exactly the time because I follow the stocks. I start looking at some volumes and the different kind of other things, trying to determine where the bottom is. I did that in week 19, Tesla, eBay, Expedia. I managed to get a little profit from each of them. I had 13% in Tesla, eBay 1.4%, and Expedia 4.42%. And market was very red, so I was very happy with these three trades. And these, by the way, are the trades that are for you and this podcast. I do other trades as well. Last week, I repeated, I got Tesla, eBay, and Expedia. I bought on the same thing. I bought early on the Monday, trying to find the bottom. I bought Tesla at 7.30, 7.30.50 to be exact. I saw Tesla go up, thought everything was okay. Then it started to fall and ended the day a little under 7.30. I had a 5% stop loss, trailing stop loss. And the trailing stop loss works like this. It only follows the stock up, never down. I had a 5% trailing stop loss. I told you I don't have time to sit and watch the perfect situation. Tesla went up on Tuesday and went up more than 4%. I could have 4% profit before it turned around 7.38, I think, and starting to fall. The trailing stop loss, it was ticked at 7.38 minus 5%, and at 7 when Tesla started to fall, the stock was automatically sold at 7.26, giving me a loss of 0.62%. Yes, I could have had 4% profit, but I told you I don't have time to sit in the market is one of the strategies. And even for eBay and XPay, I choose the same strategy with a 5% stop loss. Sometimes I look at the stock, look at the volatility to determine should it be 3%, 5%, 7%, 2.5%, depends a lot. eBay, I got eBay at 45.15. It went up 48.49. I think I saw the ticker flashing on the screen. Sorry, 53. Correction, 48.49. It was flashing on the screen. It was very up, and then the same thing happened. Like in Tesla, it started to fall, and it was cut at 44.76, giving me a loss of 0.86%. Tesla was sold, as I said, with 0.62% loss. eBay with 0.86% loss, and then it was Expedia. Expedia I got at 124.12. Also, that started very well. Expedia went up, everything was looking good, and then it turned down and was cut by the same 5% stop loss at 121.76. So I had to take a loss of 1.9%. So Tesla was sold with loss, eBay was sold with loss, and Expedia was sold with the biggest loss of 9%. And that's livable. It's not the worst at all. I don't expect all trades to be good. For those following me know that most weeks are just green, green, green. But last week was a red week. The 2 weeks, 18-19, was totally green, giving very good percentages, and losing only a little bit more than a percent is totally fine by me. And that was the lesson I wanted you to learn. It's okay to take a loss. Just don't take these extreme losses and try to put away your hopes, because there is two things that are going to burn you in the stock markets is greed and fear. Listen to my very first podcast. I try to explain these principles and how they will ruin your trading. We'll not talk more about that. I've repeated use of stop loss for ages. I know some of you will say, well, my stock was cut short and it just continued up afterwards. It was taken by a day swing. Yes, some stocks stop loss will not work, but you have to look in a much bigger picture, and then you will start to see how these things really work. If you're a very, very small trader and you only have a few $100s, of course, it's a little different game, but hopefully we will get there as well. That will be enough about that. What are the trading tips for this week? Well, I will do stocks that I know. And the first one I will do is Tesla. You heard me in the tech analysis saying that I think there is an upside in Tesla. I will try to do Tesla for the third week. Actually, it's the fourth week in a row, because in week 18 I also bought Tesla at 855, sold it at 904, banking 5.73% profit. And in week 19 I bought Tesla, so this will be the fourth week that I try to do a swing trade in Tesla. The game is the same. I buy, I put on a trailing stop loss, and we will just see how it goes. The other stock is Apple. You heard me say that when I was doing the Apple analysis. I want to buy Apple because I think there is an upside. Not much, but 2-3% is super good enough for me. And if I'm lucky, market is at the currently bottom and things start to tick up, and then Apple will just stay. And then there is the third one. It's high risk stocks because I want to have a little exposure in something that can go very fast, very high. And I will just do one stock which I've been trading in and out several times before. It's Zomedica, 22 cents penny stock. Indeed, a shit stock, but they have a lot of money in the bank. There are a few things about the stock which I like in the longer perspective, but I think it could be a bargain at 22 cents. We will see if I'm correct, and we will see if it will be a green week. You will just have to tune in next week to know, because as usual, I will tell you exactly how things went, good or bad. And with a few last days in Norway, I hope that my last few days here will be very good. I believe so. Norway is a beautiful country, very high mountains. If you've never been there, exceptional fjords, and this is the west coast of the Norway where the Vikings lived. So I will enjoy the nature, and I hope you will do the same, that you'll do a little bit more than just stock trading. Get some air. I said this last week and the week before. Get some air, talk to some friends, drink a good cup of coffee while it still is cheap and inflation hasn't eaten it. And next week we will speak again. Until then, have a super week. Bye.